went out of his way to make the workforce within that company 50-50 as much as he could in terms of men and women being represented. So we're talking about engineers, we're talking about tradespeople, we're talking about in workshops, we're talking at the managerial level.
If you hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women. So you can't hire 50% women engineers without producing a decrement in the quality of the engineers, because this selection pool is too small. You can't do that on a large scale. You might be able to do that in one company. But look, you think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, and you insist upon hiring 50-50, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying don't even try?
No. I'm saying something much more specific than that.
If I was a man, and I'm not a man, but if I was a man, I wouldn't hire a woman. I wouldn't do it. And I say it all the time, and I say that, and that is something that women need to consider when they're talking about this stuff. When you are saying that a man complimenting you and saying, I really like your outfit today, is a form of sexism. If you're a man, why hire a woman, right? So you fought all this time to be able to get into the workforce, only to say these are going to be the rules. You know, if you say anything, even if you compliment me, if you look at me, anything, I'm going to have a reason to fight you. And by the way, you're going to want to settle and pay me, because even just the stain of an accusation is enough to ruin men. So if you're a guy, right, in this society, in this Me Too environment, in this litigation-rich environment of misogyny and sexism and all of these claims, what is the value add? What's the risk? You know, the benefit and the risk. I can't do the analysis and say, I'd just be like, no, I'm just not hiring anyone. Give me all the men.
It's funny how when times start to get hard, they suddenly need people who can do the job and not just become checkboxes for diversity and inclusion. It's funny, the second women are going to college more than men, they change the requirements. Feminism told them to get stuff, not work for it. Today, companies are changing their strategy to try not to hire young woke feminist women. But the truth is that most companies will still hire based on affirmative action and diversity nonsense, and women will take priority. So the problem really isn't going away. Even women with only high school diplomas will bring feminist stuff with them, just later. It's also a slap in the face to men who have to prove they have the qualifications while women do not. I've seen female high school grads get financial analyst or data analyst jobs without any extra schooling, but men have to have some college within the field. IBM just had job postings that excluded men, especially Asian and white men. This is far from over. Women and men can both achieve great things and add similar value to organizations. Yes. But women commonly adhere to their own nature and bring it into the culture at the workplace. You must have heard of someone being falsely accused of misogyny or some sort of harassment allegation, who got fired from his job and could never recover financially because no other company would hire him. Men have started to avoid women in the workplace because they know one call to the human resources manager from a woman can potentially make them lose their source of income and reputation. Men are afraid they're going to get fired. Another study that was conducted to evaluate the effects and consequences of the Me Too movement found that men are becoming noticeably less willing to approach their female peers in the workplace. Research suggests that more than 20% of men avoid speaking to and interacting with female coworkers privately. A third or more of men stated they would be terrified to be alone with a woman in the study's primary research, which questioned men how they would feel if they were in the office alone with a woman. Why? Well, the main reason is that they just don't want to be in a situation where they're framed for any sort of allegations against them by the women. They don't want to lose their jobs over some women. And it's pretty easy for women to have a man fired from his job these days. It's just one email, call, or conversation away from human resources and senior management. But when it comes to hiring young female graduates who grew up in a completely feminist environment, it's a different ballgame for companies. Companies that have had the misfortune of hiring young female grads have had to rehire fresh employees again. This is because these young feminists totally rebel against company culture and want all the authority to themselves. If, God forbid, a new female employee has a manager who is a male, she will start making allegations against him based on nothing except the fact that he's male. And seeing a male having more authority is just something these young feminist employees can't stand. The reality is that men would rather work more freely with other men. This only serves to demonstrate how increasingly wary males have become of women throughout time, especially in the last 10 years, and how much they would prefer to communicate and work with other guys. Putting women under female bosses is the most fantastically cruel thing you can do. If there's anyone more vindictive and demeaning of women, it's other women. They view workplace success as a zero-sum and will deliberately keep other women down so they can shine. In cubicles, meetings, and boardrooms, they prefer to work with other males rather than women because they can share information, talk about ideas, and organize their schedules together. This is due to their fear of losing the career they have worked so hard to build over a long period of time. They may lose everything with just one unfounded accusation. In a society that primarily takes into account and believes what women say, one false charge could end up being the villain. The truth is that the typical attractive modern woman of today is out of reach anyway. In every movie you see, regardless of how recent or how old it is, the lead character is either the most attractive woman or the most attractive man, who is incapable of wrongdoing and who works to uphold justice in society. The evil men and villains are always aged, gorgeous, scarred people who look awful. Women managers are increasingly reluctant to hire women. They find younger women to be less productive and more likely to waste time socializing, and cattier, causing unnecessary and counterproductive drama in the workplace. Also, around the age of 30, younger women realize that their reproductive window is closing and leave to start families, taking their training and experience with them just when they are becoming productive. It should therefore come as no surprise that neither men nor women would want to consider hiring attractive women, because if a woman made a false complaint against a man, everyone would assume that she was telling the truth. Everyone can see a guy trying to flirt with a beautiful woman. That is how it has always been. It's been heavily established that the average woman can cause a whole lot of trouble due to misunderstandings or her own agenda, etc. This is a good thing, to be honest. It's bad for the women that aren't part of the problem, but at the very least the people in general that are the problem will learn. Women are being hired less and less. The Me Too movement has destroyed men interacting with women without having a witness or video evidence. I own a small business and will not hire any women. I don't need the headache and the constant problem women bring into the workforce. Imagine you're running a company and you know you'll be heavily fined if you don't hire at least 5 females as heads of departments for your large corporation operating in more than 100 countries. Now imagine that for the roles you have to hire women, there aren't many women qualified enough or experienced enough to do the job well. What will you do then? Of course, you will still have to hire women, but when you don't have the quality candidate you're used to, you're going to offer the position to someone a lot junior, and that's what companies have had to do. They had to hire junior candidates for senior positions and then suffer the consequences as the inexperienced women made blunder after blunder and couldn't cope with the pressure, all the while demanding more pay than their male counterparts. Many women I know proudly bring their emotions to work. Most men I know tend to leave theirs at the door. Men treat work as a place to escape their personal life. From my experience, women like to mix the personal with the professional. They see nothing wrong with it. It seems fine, up to the point those feelings are hurt, and suddenly what should be professional feedback becomes a visit to HR for any man involved. Years ago, you heard of cases where women made false accusations and some man was railroaded for something he didn't do, but you wrote it off as an anomaly and went on. But it became more and more frequent, and then it happened to someone. And then it happened to someone where you work. Then it happened to someone you know who was just trying to date. In the end, you need to keep your job, so you start to avoid them. Equal rights come with equal responsibilities, but not for women. Women are the darlings of society who can get all the benefits of equality but barely any responsibility. What they don't tell people about the Me Too movement is that it only applies to women. Men who are harassed or assaulted by a female coworker are essentially ignored until irrefutable evidence is provided proving otherwise. Even then, the female is usually counseled and rarely dismissed. There aren't any other derogatory impacts. They are free to make counter-accusations, and that puts the men on the defensive and impacts their careers and future no matter the outcome. Even if proven the female was the aggressor, If a counter-allegation is made, he's still finished in that business. Now, fewer women are being hired by large companies because they know that apart from the quotas that they have to fill to keep the shareholders happy, they don't have much to gain from hiring women. But did women bring this onto themselves? Is this a failure of feminism? I guess so. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.